Hi guys, welcome to the webinar. I'm Giovanna, your host for today. Glad you're here. Welcome. I'm here with some very special people, including our very own Rich Litvin, and wanted to welcome you guys to the call. We're going to do some fun stuff today. We're going to play I Can Get You Any Client with these amazing coaches, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about a special program we have toward the end of the call. So I'm going to bring on Rich. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Giovanna. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel I almost felt like I was starting a podcast for a second, and I have all these.
Feels like it. Well, we have a big audience. We have hundreds, sometimes thousands of people who watch this stuff, so it's fun. And what I thought would be fun today is I want to introduce you to the people who many of our community are beginning to know you well, and some people who may not. So I want to set you up and tell people about you. But first of all, what are you up to? Like I've noticed since we ran the last intensive, I've begun to think more and more about our 90-day money game. And that's the game that we let people play after an intensive has finished, the game about creating clients. So, and I've just realized we should say who these three are on with us before I say anything.
Yes. So we have Aaron here. Aaron, do you want to give us a hello?
Hey guys.
Aaron's here. Aaron's been in the 90-day money game that I ran a little while ago last year, and he's been in one of our salons. And then we have Luce. Hey, Luce.
Hi, everyone.
Luce, tell us where you're coming in from again.
I'm calling in from Switzerland.
Switzerland, that's it. I always forget where it is. Cool. And Luce has also been in the 90-day game with me, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. And then we have Mr. Rob. Rob, you're in New York, right?
That's right. That's right. You might hear some hammering upstairs today.
Awesome. Cool. Rob, your volume's a little bit low. I wonder if maybe you can tune it up just a little bit, but perfect. Rob has also been in a salon with Rich, correct?
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Awesome. And then we have Rich, who's also been in a salon with Rich.
I have. So let's chat for a second, Giovanna, as a few people get on, and then we'll set context for the call. And I'm actually going to slip away because you're the one who's leading this game today. But for me, that 90-day money game, which we've been playing for about 10 years now in our community, it dawned on me the other day that, oh, I need to play it again. The thing about business that I have discovered is that it's constantly in ups and downs. And my goal is always to tip the line like this. So hopefully there's more success over time. But life is life, business is business, and there are ups and downs. And we're going through it. As we were doing some things in my business, I realized, oh, it's time to create some cash. So I went back to the Prosperous coach and I was looking at, okay, well, my calendar has lots of blue color on it and not much red, which means I'm coaching lots of my current clients, haven't spent time with people, much time recently with people who are not a client. And I've begun to fill my calendar up with conversations with people who I don't know so well or who I've spoken to in the past. And so I'm still playing that game 10 years after the ideas began to come to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great concept to me as well, because I had a mentor tell me years ago to like only plan for the next 90 days. And that's what I love about the game is that, you know, especially as visionaries and entrepreneurs, we can get really caught in like the big picture. I do that all the time, and getting it down to 90 days and having it be something fun, I find really helpful for me.
Yeah.
And so I've started playing that again since the intensive for myself and looking at what are my next 90 days and what am I doing?
Nice. Well, beautiful. So let's do this. Let me set the context for who you are and why we're even playing together. Because when you and I first met, I didn't realize you'd read my book, and we met. You'd been helping a coaching organization and help make over $1 million of sales for them. So I knew that this woman knows something about sales. This is interesting. I love people who understand that game. And then I found out you'd read the book. And then I found out that for 8 years in a prior career, you'd built a business as a holistic health practitioner.
Yep.
And you've done that by word of mouth and referral alone, which is, not the gold standard, it's the platinum standard for building a business. And I remember you saying to me that my book sounded really familiar to you. And I said to you, well, I know why it sounds familiar, because whilst the book has struck a chord and seems to do well out in the community of coaches, they're old, timeless principles. And you've just been doing that intuitively.
Yeah, I think that was the thing is I didn't actually get that I was doing it intuitively, because when I first started, I actually started with sort of the big, online marketing machine. And I was getting really tripped up and really frustrated, and things were moving really fast. And I had a coach at the time who recommended the book. And I read it, and I thought, oh, I've done this before. Like I actually know how to play this game. Yeah. It was familiar to me, and it just took all the pressure off in such a great way, because I had already done it, and I didn't actually know that I was doing it intuitively. Right. Actually, people used to come up to me all the time and say, "Oh, you're such a great salesperson," and I was like, "Ew, sales! I don't want to be associated to that." So.
Well, that's what we did. That's what the book does. It flips sales on its head and makes sales become something fun, because you're serving people, and so it doesn't feel icky. So that's a nice catch. Yeah. So what happened next in our relationship is you came and joined our team because I got how much you understood enrollment, and we've been working together for, how long has it been now?
2.5 years.
Yeah, it's almost 3 years, right? And what happened in that time is that you are the only person on the planet who's been in dozens and dozens and dozens of my personal enrollment calls. So, and then I got to be in some of yours, and we get to witness one another as we play this game very intuitively, very much the same way of serving people. And so one last piece, one little secret about your background that I love is that I'm going to call you a spy, but you used to work for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and you were a surveillance operative. And what I really get about you is why you are so good at deep listening. The secret skill to being a really powerful coach is you were trained in it, and you were trained to listen to conversations by being a surveillance operative, so that you could hear things behind people's words and meanings that weren't being said. And I love that. It should be a training for every coach. They train as a surveillance operative. But it's a great secret behind your story. And so go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say I got that also this last 4PC. I shared with you briefly on another call that it was that experience, and then my experience in alternative medicine, that had me grasp my zone of genius, which is I know the medicine that's required. And it is that skill of kind of like what's behind the words and what's actually being said. And yeah.
And what's nice about that is that's completely different to my story. And it's completely different to Aaron and Luce and Rob's story and everyone of you who's watching, that we don't have to have the same story. That's what I like, as we're beginning to share other people's stories in our community. You see that there isn't one right path. There's your path and your history and your story that makes you right. So I'm going to slip away because you're one of the people I trust most in the world because of your understanding of enrollment, your understanding of the prosperous coach approach. You've been in salons yourself. You've led this kind of work. You've been on stage at our intensives. You've led our 90-day money games behind the scenes. And so I love the fact that you get to play with these guys and that you guys get to play with Giovanna.
Cool. And what are you going to go do now? Are you off to the spa, or what's going on?
That's a great idea. That's exactly where I'm going. All right, gang. I love you. Cool. Have fun.
Bye, Rich.
Bye.
Thanks for the intro. Awesome. Cool. Well, now we get to play. I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You can go ahead and take yourselves off mute. It's so weird. Like we have our master controller behind the scenes that's doing all of it. I'm used to being able to like unmute you guys. So, so glad you guys are here. I've had a chance to coach you. Rob, we coached a little bit on the accelerator calls before the salon started, and then a little bit on stage at this past intensive. And Aaron and Luce, we've done a little work together too. So I'm really excited, and I'm honored that you guys came back here. So let's play, shall we?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Cool. Awesome. Luce, I'm being pulled to start with you and your big bright smile. So we're playing I Can Get You Any Client. That's the context. And as always, when we set context, really it's what you bring and how you want to receive coaching from the call. So what's up for you?
First of all, can I just put out there that I'm a little bit nervous to be coached live, like publicly. It's the first for me. So,
let's everyone take a deep breath in. Cool. Thank you for putting that out there. I'm a little nervous too, because although I've done this like a gajillion times, I haven't done like a webinar for hundreds of people in a long time. So let's all breathe. Let's pretend that nobody is here except for me and you, and maybe Aaron and Rob.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Yeah, so obviously I've thought a little bit about what I might want to bring up in this call tonight, and I decided to just see what came up in the moment. As I told you just before we got started, I got the news just a couple of days ago that I will get to coach 2 middle managers for a national UK charity recently. And that's a big stretch for me because up until now, most of my clients have been expat women. I'm an expat myself, or I have been an expat for the last 22 years now. I've been a trailing spouse for the last 6 years. A trailing spouse is somebody who follows their partner abroad for their job.
What an interesting term, a trailing spouse.
Right, yeah, you kind of trail behind your partner. It's a stupid word, but
Okay.
yeah, that's how it's known in the expat world. And you talked a little bit about the intensive at the beginning, and I was at the intensive in LA or in Santa Monica earlier last month already.
Yeah.
And I realized, or I had a realization there, and that is that who I would really love to coach is, and it's a bit scary to put that out there, like saying it out loud to the world. Who I would really love to coach are leaders and visionaries in the clean tech and green tech and sustainable energy world.
Uh-huh.
And I have absolutely no experience in that direction, like at all. So I'm not asking like, how do I get that? How do I get into that world? What I would love some coaching around is, Rich has talked in the past about, was it the five sales in coaching?
Uh-huh.
And how you start with how the first sale is that you believe in coaching and that you believe in your own coaching.
Right, you have to sell it to yourself.
Exactly. And I 1000% believe in coaching. And I also believe in my own coaching for expat women, because that's where I have my experience and that's what I'm very familiar with. There are moments that I feel very confident about being able to coach leaders and visionaries in the clean tech and sustainable energy fields. And then there are moments that I think, what on earth am I thinking? I have no experience. I don't have a science background or anything. I just have a deep passion for the environment and for nature.
So I'm going to pause you for a moment because this is actually really great, because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, and normally, you know, if I had, and actually maybe I do have access to the chat box. I love playing with the chat box when I can, although I try and keep it closed to not distract myself. But there's a lot of people listening, I'm sure, Luce, that and this was the case for me in many aspects as well, where we have this desire to coach this particular industry or these particular leaders. And we tell ourselves this story that, you know, I don't know anything about that industry, so how could I coach them? But I have an interesting question for you that I'd like to play with. Are you open to that?
Absolutely, bring it.
How would the things that hold up these leaders, you said in clean tech and sustainable energy, how might what's holding them back and what's, you know, really getting in their way also be related to what holds back these women that you have already been coaching, where you have a lot of confidence in this area, right? Like you're, right? So
Yeah.
how might their holdbacks and things that they might need coaching around be similar?
Well, that's what I keep telling myself, that they will not, like, if they come to me for coaching, it will not be around topics that are, it won't be around, you know, like how to fix whatever it is they're doing. It won't be about the science stuff.
What will it be about?
It will be about how they see things, how they see the world, how they see themselves, their beliefs, their fears, their thought patterns, their vision, their habits, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone that's watching right now? And I just want you to type 1 in the chat box if this feels familiar to you, like if this is something that you also struggle with. Like, look at all these ones coming up. I don't know if you see them, Luce, but, and this is not to say, oh, poo-poo, like everybody has your problem. It's not for that, but I'm asking because this is awesome. Let's say everyone's responding, because this is a common thing. And the truth is that you just said the answer, because these people in this industry, what holds them back and what gets in their way is the same thing that gets in the way of most leaders and most people. So you started to say one thing, but can you give me 3 things that you know gets in the way of leaders in particular, maybe these ones, if you know?
You mean like their beliefs, their thoughts, their habits, their fears?
Like what have you seen? Because you're a pro, like remember, you're a pro in this area. This area is the expat women, super confident, you're a pro in this area. And then there's this other area where, you know, there's a bit of a story going on that you don't know that industry.
Right.
But where's the similarities? Because these are still people. They might be involved in a different industry, but they're still people.
Mm-hmm. There might be a fear of not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
There might be stuff about time management and feeling like, you know, having a to-do list that's miles long and never feeling that they actually manage to do everything that they need to do. And that can bring a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
They might get stuck and have absolutely no idea how to move forward with their project or their product or whatever it is that they're working on.
So we all at some point as leaders will get stuck around our thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've already said, like, you're sold on your coaching. You know that you're a great coach.
Yeah, I like to think so. I mean, it can always be better, but.
So there's a little something else in there around that first sale. There's still something in there. What is it? What's still lurking around in there? And just picking up that there's still something in that feeling really confident with your coaching.
Maybe it's not around the coaching, but it's around creating connections with those people. And so we're playing the 90-day money game now, and the first week is connect. Mm-hmm. And I love connecting with people when it's like natural, but when there's even just the slightest hint of there being something behind me wanting to create that connection, it feels a bit yucky.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm not speaking to you right now. I'm speaking to Rob and Aaron and everyone else. I'm really speaking to you too. This is what I like to call the Zen of coaching. This is that beautiful art of non-attachment. And you said the perfect thing there, because on any part of those 5 sales, or even the sales that occur in that, you know, connect, invite, create, propose, if we have any level of attachment to outcome, you're right, it feels kind of icky. It feels gross, right? It feels inauthentic. And usually people pick that up. And this is where it's that weird, and this is actually the #1 thing that stops coaches from connecting with people, is because we get that little element of the next, we're not even at that step 1 of connect. We get into like step 2, 3, and 5, which is like, oh, I'm going to invite them to the conversation maybe, or let me just see. So I'm going to pause you here. I'm going to ask you the question, but then I'm going to pause you and I'm going to flip over to Aaron next. But I want you to think about how you already connect with people naturally, because I've seen you in action. I've seen you, and you're a natural connector. And you just said it's easy when it comes naturally. So I'd love for you to take a moment, and if you have a pen and paper, even to just do some reflection on how it is that you naturally already connect with people. And I think there's something about the red clown nose in here, and we're gonna fill everybody else in on the red clown nose in a minute, but we'll get back to you. So will you do that? Will you make that list?
I will.
Awesome, cool. Aaron,
Hey, Joanna.
how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Aaron is not lounging on the couch just because he's had a little bit of an ankle surgery. And thank you for being on the call today, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it.
So how should we play today?
Yeah, the thing that's coming up for me is like I feel like I'm right at the spot that I want to be at, and it's right around starting to create like more high paying clients. Like last month I coached my ass off leading up to the intensive, and then now I'm starting to propose my ass off, and I got six out of 7 no's last week. Right
Congratulations.
so I was actually excited about that because I was like, I'm going for no, like I'm leaning in. Before, sometimes I let people just go, and I didn't even go for no. Now I'm going for no's, and I'm starting to get them. And now I'm in this zone where I want to create a few more clients.
What's having you go for the nose now with such gusto?
I think it's like just reading all the stuff from Prosper's coach, like playing the no game, and then just starting to realize from the intensive that I'm actually just on track, and that it just takes a lot of no's. So I don't know, I just got into this rhythm where I was like feeling good about doing that. And then I had this desire that you coached me on the other day to travel again and to go to different places and conferences. And that desire feels really strong. I had it as a want, which you coached me on, which was all up in my head. But now I'm starting to tap into it as more of a desire.
Cool. I'm going to pause you a minute. I'm going to fill everyone in. So we did this reintegration call after the intensive, and Aaron came on the call, and we were sort of trying to figure out, you know, there was some resistance, I think, Aaron, was that was going on around like making the proposal and actually going for it?
Yeah, and it was that I don't need clients, but I want clients.
Right.
But that was still up in my head.
Yeah.
So that was what was going on.
The distinction that we made in that call was that there's a very different energy between a want and a desire. And my distinction around that is wants come from our head and desires come from our heart. And when you're really connected to the desire for something, you will find that there is a more effortless way of creating. So we had to connect Aaron's desires. Well, first of all, we had to connect that there were desires. And then we had to connect to how that related to client creation to sort of keep the mojo going, right?
Yeah.
And so that just to fill everyone else in. So you're more connected to that now is what I hear.
Yep.
Yeah. What else?
And I just made my poster, which has traveling and the airplane and everything.
Your 90-day money game
My
poster.
90-day money game poster.
Yep.
And now I think it's just a matter of like creating those clients, but I'm getting a lot of no's, and I'm getting no's on the money, which is like, in my mind, I'm not even charging that much. So maybe I'm going after the wrong people, or maybe I'm not, I don't know. I'm not doing something right.
Well, I heard you say something really important before. I wrote it down because it was so great. You said, it takes a lot of no's.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of no's. So I'm hearing, and there's like almost like a little like stopgap, because I'm hearing on one side, you're like, yeah, it takes a lot of no's. And I was like totally going for it. And then you were like, but now I want to do this. And it almost felt like the energy went down. So what's the difference? Like, it takes a lot of no's, and I hear that you want to now start getting some yeses. But what's happening? What's the difference in your energy? Because I'm noticing a difference there.
Yeah, I think the energy of going for no and keep like pushing through my own internal resistance to go there felt like, it feels like I'm playing a game, and it feels like I'm really going for it. And then when kind of none of them turn into yes, I'm like, uh-oh, like, well, I still need to create a few clients, like, so I can't just always just keep going for no and just keep getting no's.
Well, you could, because as Steve said in the book, yes lives in the land of no, right? But this is a great example, because this is sort of when our mind kicks in. Because at first it's like, oh, this is a game. I'm just going to go for no. And like, I'm going to propose all these, I'm going to propose to all these people. And that's okay, because I'm playing a game. And then that little gremlin kicks in and says, but you got to make some money.
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to share with the audience that's watching is that you're in a really, really great position, in that you are a part-time coach right now, which is a beautiful position to be in, because you have another job that is sustaining you, and you're really taking the time to build and learn these skills. So I want to acknowledge you for that, first of all, and to also highlight again that you're in a really, really great position to continue to have it be a game in here. So what's that part of your mind that catches you, like that it goes from like it's a game and it's fun, and then like, oh crap, but I need to make some money?
Got it. Yeah, I just figured it out. It's that gut, when I actually feel like I can make some money, that's when I think I'll be able to turn pro and quit my part-time job and just do coaching, which is what I love. The part-time job is okay. It's just not, it's not my passion. So yeah.
So this is cool, because you're going to step 2, 3, and 4, right? Sort of like how we were talking about with Luce a little bit, like you're jumping forward a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you didn't have that attachment to like, oh, maybe I can leave my job now, like time's clicking, how might you approach or continue to approach what you're doing?
Yeah, I would be basically, if I like loved my job, which is a different thing to work out, then I actually would just be like, have all that energy around going for no and everything. Because I don't love my job, it's not at that place, but maybe I can create that even when I don't love my part-time job.
Do you think if you loved your part-time job, you would be putting in as much effort into building your coaching business?
Probably not.
So it's kind of good that you don't like it that much.
Yeah, it's like good energy to fuel the fire.
Yeah. And we've also seen how it could also maybe sometimes get in the way, because then you feel like you're on the clock and you're like, okay, is it time yet? Can I leave the job yet? Have I turned pro yet?
Yeah, that's right.
Is there someone right now that you can think of that you'd really love to enroll as a client, but maybe this sort of hesitation or fear has gotten in the way?
There is one woman who we had a great first call, I thought, and I was super excited about it. And then I just didn't hear from her again. I might have gotten a little needy to like reach out and try and grab her.
How did you leave things off with her?
She's just going to schedule one whenever she's ready. She was sick last week or whatever. So I said, yeah, just schedule when you're ready.
When you say schedule when you're ready, does that mean you like she's got some sort of scheduling link?
Yeah, she has my link.
Okay. I'm going to go into teacher mode here for a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you guys now. So here's a really cool thing. I'm so glad you brought this up, because in the course of enrolling, just as in the course of the coaching relationship, you're really being the leader and the driver of that the whole time. So when we actually leave it to the prospective client to book in when they feel like it or when they need it, chances are that usually that's when this particular lead, let's call them for lack of a better word, might fall through the cracks. So she may have been powerfully served by you. It may have blown her away. And then she got sick or stuff got in the way. And this is sort of how things kind of fall through the cracks. So my encouragement to you and my invitation, and for all of you guys listening as well, is to only use a scheduling link once, like you've already, let's say it's someone that you have a connection with. Like I use it to book people on my podcast, or if somebody wants to just have a quick chat with me, I'll do that. But there's a way in which, Rich talks about like high touch, right? This is why so many people come to the Prosperous Coach approach, because it's a very high touch approach. So in this case, because it's sort of left out in the ethers, right? Like here's a link when you're ready. Might be a great idea for you to touch back with her, and check in on, how she's doing, like a legitimate check-in, because she was sick, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, right.
And this is a place where if you could check back in, see how she's doing, and actually get her on your calendar, you might be able to continue the conversation with her. And so there's a few things that we could do around that in terms of wording. I'm just sort of watching my time and seeing, that we're still got to get to Rob and stuff. But is there a way that you could still serve her powerfully? Is there a way that you recognize, even from that first conversation, that you could go even deeper with her?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. So that's what I would put, like without getting into the words of your actual email, that's what I would express in the email.
Okay.
And in future, when you are sort of finishing off that first conversation and you do recognize that there needs to be another conversation, put that person on your calendar immediately.
Okay.
A week from now, or, if it happens that it's 2 weeks from now, that's fine. But try and get that person on your calendar so that you also avoid this whole like, well, there is this person, but I kind of left off this way. And it's just sort of this hanging, dangling participle, as they would say, hanging Chad. It's just kind of there, and we don't know what's happening with this person. So how does that feel if you go back and have this approach?
Yeah, it feels good. And in fact, there's 2 people out there like that. So I'll do that for both of them.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah. Is there anything else in this moment, Aaron?
I think that's good. I'm going to go for those 2, and then I'll just keep going on other ones as well.
Cool. And we'll check back in at the toward the end as well.
Yeah, cool.
Keep my eye on the time here. Cool.
Thanks, Salon.
Yeah. Hey, Rob.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Long time no speak.
Yeah. And here we are. So
And here we are. I'm just going to turn up my volume a little bit. For whatever reason, you sound low.
maybe I'm talking low today.
I don't know.
I could try to shout.
So tell me, Rob, how would you like to play today? What would make this time together amazing for you?
So with your skills and enrollment that I admire, there's a particular space that I've been trying to work out which way I want to play. Because a bit like Luce, it's a new area for me, and it's working on a larger scale, like with a company. So I'd been talking to a person I was introduced to at a multinational talent agency. They had interest in essentially working with some of their agents around their leadership, is the word I would use, of their assistants, essentially managing, as they would say. Mm-hmm. And some of the problematic relationships that have arisen there about how the agents treat the assistants, things like that. And so they were thinking, oh, you could put something together for us, some sort of presentation sort of thing. And I have a lot of familiarity with the organization. I've coached a number of people there, a number of the assistants actually initially. And the belief that I have is that for something like this, particularly when they're looking at a sort of problematic employee, that the impact on those people from having a seminar and saying, hey, you seem to have had a problem, like, let's work on this, that those people tend to be resistant, right? It's like, okay, so you're being singled out, or we can do like the all company mandatory meeting. And from talking to a lot of people at other organizations during my first career as a photographer, which you know about. And so as a freelancer, I'd work with these companies and I hear all the stories about coaches coming in and it's like, oh, they're making us do this. And the bosses aren't doing it. Why aren't the bosses doing it? Mm-hmm. And so I have a belief around the importance of having it come from the top down. So while these people are asking me, hey, can you put together a presentation? There's a part of me that wants to go in and say, I want to do this much bigger thing and actually work on organizational change. Mm-hmm. That feels a lot scarier to me. It's like putting together a presentation. I could then say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Organizational change, you're working with offices on 2 different coasts. There's multi-level management. There's the C-suite. There's the, there's so many tiers to work with. And that's much bigger than anything I've ever done. So while I believe that's where the impact would really come from, I feel like they're saying, can you give us this little thing? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you that little thing. I'm going to give you this giant, enormous thing that I don't actually know how to do.
So I have so many things. Okay, I'm going to start with one.
That's how you and I play. So many things, all the things.
Okay, so the first thing that's coming to mind is the whole, like, it's really, like we say, it's one conversation at a time, but it's really about one person at a time. So I definitely hear you. Well, there's definitely a trickle-down effect that would be beneficial. Who is the one person that you're aware of in the organization right now that would actually be the catalyst to that trickle down? So rather than it be like the C-suite people and these people, who's the one person that you would have to change or help change?
Because they're problematic or because of their influence, like the way people would follow them?
Because there's the trickle down, right?
Right.
So who would be that one person that you identify?
So the head of the New York office is someone who I think really believes in a lot of the beliefs. I think he's very supportive of this idea. Okay. And I think speaking to him, he's sort of like, if he modeled it, others would follow. So he's not the problematic one. I do think that if people said, oh, he's being coached, he's working on his leadership in this capacity, that he would be the person that people would go, right, okay, then I'm more open to it.
Is he the one that, like, if he's up here, if he's the one, so is he the influencer that would then help with all the C-suite and the lower management and the, like, and is he the top of the triangle sort of thing?
Essentially, yeah. Okay. He's top down, really. Right.
So then all the other stuff that you mentioned before, like, you wouldn't really have to do that stuff necessarily, or coach all those people.
Right. I like that idea. And I think he'd be more open to it than, like we're saying, than the problematic people who would initially be resistant. Like trying to go to, it's like, if this is him trying to go to one of the agents who's having a problematic relationship with their assistant, they're not going to say, oh, I'll be first. Right. But you're right that if he's here, it's like, it doesn't have to necessarily be all the other people in between.
Right. And you don't necessarily need to be the one that coaches all those people.
Right.
But he's the influencer. And so there is that trickle down effect.
Yeah.
So what if you prepared your presentation, which, by the way, I just heard you give. Did Aaron and Luce, did you hear him basically give his presentation there when he started? Like, you're really strong, like, I believe, and that's your, I mean, literally I'm convinced, I'm sold. So what if you prepared that proposal and that presentation and say, look, I know you guys are asking me for this, but here's how I'm going to give you this. And you prepared it for this man or woman. I don't know who it is, man or woman.
Man, you caught it right, because I did say he at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, because it does feel like it's not as far outside of my wheelhouse. Like I've connected with some people like Janine in the community that have worked with sort of institutional change and have that familiarity with a large, complex organism of doing coaching entire offices and things like that. And so that was, it brought up a little bit of fear, similar to Luce, like, I don't know, like that's a whole, but this is like, right. And he's even like, I think, warm to the idea. Because he and this woman that was my initial point of contact have talked about the importance of this. So I think he'd be on board in that context of saying, what we need to do is model this. So I understand where you're trying to go and how you're seeing that this thing might accomplish that. What I would offer is actually, this thing's going to have a much bigger effect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And at the same time, it is approachable because it's still one person. So cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Came to the right place. Thank you. I came to the right place. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. No, thank you for bringing that. And it's just another great example of how, you know, as creatives and visionaries who are often entrepreneurs, right, we tend to sort of look at this big picture and, you know, it's like, I don't know how to do this, but it really boils down to like, you know, what is it? How do you eat a 2,000-pound elephant? Right.
Right. One bite at a time. Yeah.
One bite at a time. I am not a member of PETA, but I might as well be. I hate that. Along with the kill two birds, which I say all the time. But yeah, it really is that, right? It's like that big thing that is in front of you. And I mean, you got it. I hear your passion and I hear your belief around that. And like your proposal's all but prepared. It was just like, it's the one person. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Giovanna.
Anything else around that?
I think I'm good with that to start. Like that's the next bite. It's like to take that in, because now that gives me something after the call to sit down and draw out the particulars of that conversation. So yeah, it's cool.
I love that. That's the next bite. I love it. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Cool.
Great. We're gonna go back to Luce now. So Miss Luce.
Yes.
What'd you come up with in the time that we've been gone? Or I've been gone.
I love what you said to Aaron earlier about how want comes from our head and desire comes from our heart.
Mm.
And I realized that I don't want to work with leaders in the green tech field. I just really have a deep desire to work with them.
Mm.
And so actually connecting with them is really easy because
I have the desire.
I'm just deeply curious about what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, why that is important to them, what challenges they have, and how I might be able to support them in that. And that might be through sending them a book or an email, a link or a video or some sort, or talking to them or offering a conversation if that seems like a good offer at the time. But I don't actually need anything in return.
Yay. So do you, like, I know you had the list that you made, but it sounds like you got that insight with just this piece from Aaron. Do you know how to connect with these people now without being needy?
Yeah.
And you said a really, really powerful statement there that I hope everyone that's watching actually takes this statement away, which is you said, I have a deep curiosity. Like that's your most amazing connection tool is deep curiosity.
And that's what I've realized. The most profound connections that I've made always come when I come from a place of deep curiosity. That's it.
I love it.
That's it, nothing else.
Cool. And going back to the clown nose, so people don't know the clown nose story, but I coached Luce once around wearing a red clown nose because she was taking herself a little too seriously with the coaching calls. And you were taking yourself a little too seriously with the connection here. So I'm seeing a little more playfulness come out. And there we go. There's the clown nose. I love it. I love it. So, and you could use the clown nose to connect too. I'm just saying, you know.
I could. I have a whole bunch of them, so yeah, I can just hand them out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people in this clean tech and sustainable energy field that maybe take themselves way too seriously too.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Is there anything else that came up for you around this, or anything else as we were going around with the guys? Or does it feel complete?
It feels complete. I just, something that I've been realizing a lot lately, which is nothing new to any of us, is that it all comes from service. That's why I'm sure all of us are doing what we're doing. It's because we want to make a difference. And the best way we can make a difference is by showing up.
Beautiful. Yeah, it really does. And it's just, you know, circle, it's beautiful that it's come full circle, because it really is what Rich shared at the beginning. You know, I used to think, you know, now we call it client creation, right? But you know, back when people would say to me, like, you're a great salesperson, it was a dirty word, until I actually realized that, you know, the real S word that's happening there is service. And that when you come from deep curiosity, and like Erin, when you're coming from a place of deep desire, and Rob, you just demonstrated so beautifully, like, passion and belief behind something. Like, for those of you watching, were you drawn into these stories? Like, can you see, you know, Erin's desire and passion, and Luce's playfulness and commitment to service? Like, really, we make this thing called coaching and client creation, we make it this like big gnarly thing. And actually it's as easy and as enjoyable as what was just demonstrated. So if there's, you know, one thing that you guys can take away from this webinar today, my hope would be is that if you stay in service and in your passion to help others, that would really serve everyone really well. Cool. I'm going to look over to the chat box quickly. Matt says, I felt it. Cool. Okay. It's the reason so many of us desire to engage in light work. Sure. Yeah, that's another name for it. Reno, thanks for your comment. Cool. So guys, this is how we play in a salon. In fact, you know, 2 of the people on the call, well, 3 really, if you include me, have been in a salon, and this is how we play. We work together, you know, 3 weeks out of every month, and we get together like this, and we break down what's happening right now in your business. You know, where did maybe a coaching call sort of fall through the cracks? How could we get that back? You know, I have this huge, big proposal and thing that I, you know, think is out here, and how could we break it down into like that one tiny step that has you feel really confident? And so now is the time in the call where I really want to model for you guys that are watching the invitation. You know, we went through connection, we've all been connected here, and we have created some beautiful outcomes here. And now the invitation. And, you know, one of the things for me that's really special that now that I get to run the salon is I get to play with you guys. I get to play with amazing coaches like everyone here on the call today, and really help them to get to that next level of mastery in their client creation, which is it's closer than you think, right? It's if you see everyone here on the call today, it's closer than you think. It's just that one baby step. So my invitation to you, if you're here watching, is to go on over to richlitvin.com/salon. You can read a little more about the salon there, and I would invite you to apply. And you might be thinking, well, I don't know if the salon is for me, and I don't know if this is the next right step for me. And I would encourage you to apply anyway. I will personally read your application, and we will see if there's anything that we have in our coaching and learning journey that could serve you. And maybe there's not, but maybe there is. And so if you're not sure, apply anyway. Those questions are really powerful. They're a great way to connect back in with what you've accomplished and what you're proud of and what's coming up next for you. So going over again, it's richlitvin.com/salon. Our next salon, if you want to play with me, is May 23rd. So it's only a couple weeks away. I would encourage you to get over to that page if you're interested. I want to thank you, Rob and Erin and Luce, for being on this call today, for demonstrating just a fraction of your brilliance. You guys are amazing, and it's always such a joy and a privilege to be able to coach with you. And before we go, I want to do a quick little sort of check-in as to where things have landed for you guys. And so, Erin, we'll start with you. One sentence or a couple words of where this has all landed for you.
Yeah, this tiny steps piece really landed. So I think it's just take the tiny steps on the two people that I have in mind, and then just keep doing that over and over again, this tiny little steps. Because I'm already doing all the right things. It's a matter of time.
Cool. Perfect. I love it. I love it. Rob, what about you?
I feel a sense of ease and appreciation. I think one of the values of having a group like this is blind spots are blind spots. We don't see them. And now I'm kind of thinking, oh, right. Yeah, that does make sense. And that guy was so perfect for it. And it was right in front of me and I couldn't see it. And having this can save so much energy and stress and efforting to try to get there. So I appreciate you bringing me on to do it today. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you too. Yeah. And Luce.
I can't wait.
I love it. That's your sentence. I can't wait.
I can't wait.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Cool. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you being here. I'm looking at the chat box to see if there's any. Yeah, Priyanka says we don't see our blind spots. So true. So many insights. I think I saw someone up here ask about dates about a June salon start. This is from Jay. We don't know yet if there's going to be a June salon and if and when it will start. So right now we're enrolling for May 23rd. Let me just see here if there's any other. Elisa, this is one of the best webinars I've done. Many, many thanks. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Any other questions from the webinar viewers that we can get to? And of course they scroll so quickly, so I'll try and see them. How many people in a salon is a great question, Lori. So we cap it at 10. And you saw here how we got to go a little, deep with 3 people. We do 10 so that we can have time, if we need to get to everyone in the call. And sometimes, one of the greatest things that happens in the salons, I found this true for me. I don't know about you guys, how it was for you, but the calls that, for whatever reason, I didn't get coached on that call because we went really deep with someone else. I found so much from being that fly on the wall. Rob, did you find that as well? Sort of that fly on the wall experience, kind of, because you're not in it, right? You kind of see it from a different perspective.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you can see the power of a really masterful coach working with someone. You can also see, like, when you ask people to put 1, if that applied to them too, that comes up almost every single time. You can hear your own story and your own things going on and the things that other people bring. So you can actually sort of be coached by proxy at the same time too.
Absolutely. It's a great point. Yeah. And so sometimes in a salon, I'll spend a little bit of extra time with one person, but it's usually because I know that universally, like, what's going on for that one person is going to affect everyone else and benefit everyone else. But 10 is our cap. That's a really great question. Cool. Great. So we have some of our, Sarah, thank you so much. We have Sarah and Danielle in the background that are helping me answer questions because they're going by so fast. So again, I want to thank you guys for being on the call today and playing with me. It's always such a pleasure. Thank you everyone for watching. This was super fun for me. And again, go on over to richlitvin.com/salon. Get your application, and I promise you I will personally review it, and I may be speaking to some of you very, very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Giovanna.
Thanks, Giovanna.